Hi, I'm Dustin Abbott, and I'm here today to give you a review of a much more budget option than many of the lenses that I come to you to talk about and to review. I recognize that in my audience there are those of you that have the ability to afford some of the higher end lenses that I review, and then some of you have a passion for photography, but you also have a limited budget. And that's why I do like to periodically bring you some of these budget lenses that maybe aren't as well known, but could potentially be a good option for you. So today I'm here to take a look at the Meike 50mm F1.7. Now this lens, I'm reviewing it today in a Sony FE mount or Sony E mount and on a full frame Sony mirrorless camera. However, you can also get it for some of the other kind of APS-C cameras like Canon EF-M. You can get it for Fuji X. You can get it for Micro Four Thirds, I believe. But what sets this lens apart and makes it unique compared to a lot of the lenses like this that I've reviewed. Meike is a up-and-coming Chinese lens manufacturer, and I've reviewed a number of similar lenses. In the last maybe 3 or 4 years, there's been a lot of new products that have come onto the market from manufacturers like this. And what sets this lens apart, however, is the fact that it is on Sony FE. It can actually be used on full frame, and it covers the full frame image circle. And so that is one thing that sets apart. So we're going to take a quick look at the actual build, and I'm going to give you a closer look at the build and the design of this lens. It's a nice looking lens that in a lot of ways reminds me a lot of some of the Samyang Canon lenses, and as you can see, it is a very nicely compact lens. And so in terms of the physical dimensions for a lens that does cover a full frame, and this is a nicely compact lens. So I'm reviewing in a Sony E mount here, and so obviously you can use this lens on APS-C, but it is designed to cover the full image circle of a full frame camera. And so as you can see, open up here, and so you can see looking through here, there is a lot of glass there at the back of the lens, and looking towards the front, you can see that there are some multi-coatings there. It does come with a lightweight plastic lens hood here, as you can see, and so that mounts on there, clicks in place, and there's a little bit of kind of movement there, but it seems to, you know, stay on reasonably well. See if that's any better. So, I mean, okay, it will shift if you're not careful there. So looking at the front, you've got a fairly common 52mm front filter thread. It does have here a clickless aperture, and so which is fairly stiff but pretty nicely damped. It moves smoothly, and so as you can see, it is easy to rack through the various apertures there, and so you can see it also retains a really nicely circular shape. Even with the lens stopped down significantly, the aperture basically always stays nice and circular. So, I mean, if you don't mind a clickless aperture, I definitely give some positive notes here to how nicely that aperture ring moves there. And, maybe a one kind of weird, downside here is that from f8 to f22, you have just a little tiny range. Now, here you also have a manual focus ring, and it's got kind of the knurled metal ribs there for you to grip onto, and it feels good, easy to grip. It is on the heavy side in terms of the damping, but it moves fairly smoothly, and so no real complaints there. I mean, the heavy damping is good in that it holds whatever focus position you've got. And I found that focusing with the lens, I'm fairly experienced with manual focus, and so I was able to focus fairly effectively with it. And here mounted on a Sony a7R Mark III, one nice thing you can see is that it's a very compact option, and so if your priority is you want a small lens, this definitely is a plus here. One final thing to note here is that you can see that it is not an internally focusing lens. The length of the lens does change by about 1 centimeter when you are fully extended out, and that is toward the minimum focus. At infinity, the lens is fully retracted at the minimum focus distance of 0.5 meter or 1.6 feet. You can see that it's at its longest length. So all in all, a fairly nice build here for such a budget lens. So one thing that definitely stands out as we look closely at the build is that unlike most of the plastic fantastics, as they're commonly called, most 50mm f1.8 type lenses from most manufacturers are cheap construction, all plastic, everything. This lens is actually all metal, and so when it comes to the build quality, it actually is definitely at a higher grade than the plastic fantastics, and I'm going to compare it today to Canon's own 50mm f1.8 SDM lens, since I happen to own that lens. But one thing to note as about this is because it is all metal, it is a little bit heavier than those lenses. While we can see it is an incredibly compact lens, as you can see, I mean, easily fits inside the hand. So it's a tiny lens. However, it does weigh in at 320 grams, which, you know, for example, with the SDM lens, that's pretty much double the weight of the 50mm f1.8 SDM from Canon, because that lens is all plastic. This lens is all metal. But at the same time, it's still so lightweight that it's not going to be a factor when it's mounted on your camera body. One thing where this lens does suffer a little bit in comparison to, particularly in comparison to, say, the new, 50mm f1.8 SDM or some other options, is that, kind of the average, I would say, maximum magnification for a 50mm lens is somewhere around 0.15 times. This lens is a little bit subpar compared to that, in that it only has a 0.11 times magnification, and that's due to that, as we saw, that minimum focus distance being really not all that close. And as we're going to see in just a moment, I do think that the lens is not quite as long as, say, the Canon 50mm lens is, and so it frames just a little bit wider, maybe 48 millimeters, somewhere in that range. And so as a byproduct of that, it doesn't have as good of maximum magnification. So let's jump in and let's look at the image quality and break that down a little bit for you, since for many people, that's really what this is going to all be about. Okay, for this comparison of the Meike 50mm f1.7, I have put the Canon EF 50mm f1.8 STM lens on the right as a point of comparison. So because we're comparing on a Sony system, I'm using the Sigma MC11 adapter, which I know my Sigma MC11 to be well calibrated and gives good edge performance. So you can see here that, of course, it shows up as a DT 50mm f1.8, but you know what you're looking at here. So looking at these lenses side by side, a couple of things that I do want to point out. The Meike lens shows a little bit lower levels of distortion. You can see a little bit more barrel distortion showing up here on the Canon lens, so a plus there. I would say also it shows a little lighter degrees of vignette here, and so a couple of positives there. Now, taking a quick look at our resolution on the lens, we can see center of the frame. There's not a tremendous amount of contrast. Resolution is okay, but we see that the Canon is showing up a little bit better. Now, looking at the right side of the frame, the Meike lens actually looks better on the right side. The Canon looks softer on the right side. If we look over at the other side, however, the Canon looks better. The Meike is really, really soft, and unfortunately that's a persisting problem that we're going to see. Stopping down to f2 doesn't make a huge difference. We see that shutter speed, actually, both lenses still meter the same way. Another thing to note is that the Canon 50mm does frame a little bit tighter, as you can see here. So either the Meike is a little bit short or the Canon's a little bit long. I'm going to guess probably the Meike is a little bit short of 50mm. Not necessarily a huge issue there, but there is some vignette lift, as you can see. As far as our resolution results, they are virtually similar, not a huge difference. Let's take a look, maybe top and bottom this time. You can see that at the top here, the Meike actually looks better than what the Canon does. Over on the right side, Meike looks better, Canon looks worse. Left side, the Meike is terrible. And we're going to see that this copy is decentered. Unfortunately, I've tested two copies of the Meike lens, one a few months ago, and in both cases I did have some centering issues. Here at f2.8, we see that vignette has essentially become a non-issue really for either lens. There's still just a little bit here in the corner on the Meike, a little less on the Canon, so maybe it is cleared a little bit faster. but vignette is fairly negligible. We see at the jump to f2.8 is where the Canon lens begins to shine, as it always had. It's actually an excellent lens at smaller apertures, not so great at wide apertures, and we see that that's the case here. It looks really quite fantastic in the center of the frame. However, we see that the right side is still somewhat soft. The Meike lens still looks better on the right side. Left side, however, the Canon's looking pretty decent. The Meike lens is a mess. I'm going to jump all the way to f8 here to take a look at how the lenses hold up at more of a landscape type aperture. What we can see here is that the Canon is quite brilliantly sharp in the center and definitely outclasses the Meike lens. On the right side of the frame, the Canon has now decided it's going to behave, and it looks excellent on the right side. Actually looks better than what the Meike does. And on the left side, it also looks great, whereas the Meike still looks quite soft in the very edges. It's made some improvement, but that decentering issue has caused it to be weak on this side, whereas the Canon also had its own centering issues we could see, but not as significant as the Meike lens. Now in this comparison, I wanted to take a look at the bokeh quality from the Meike lens on the left and the Canon on the right. And so, I mean, neither one of these really blows my mind on the plane of focus here. This is both of them wide open. And to be fair, the focus, plane of focus was moving a little bit. These were blowing some. This is really more about the bokeh quality. But I want you to just kind of look at the transition towards defocus. One thing that you will see is that there is more lining here on the Canon than what there is on the Meike. The Meike, I think, does produce a little bit softer looking results than what the Canon does. A little less busy, and you can just see in this region, it's a little bit softer. It is interesting to note that while the maximum aperture is a hair bigger, f1.7 versus f1.8 on the Canon, they both meter identically, and I don't know that the Meike image looks a whole lot brighter. And so just looking at it as a whole, this is a fairly complex background here, and so we can see that the Meike does a little bit better. Now with both lenses stopped down to f2.8, let's just take a quick look at this. We can see that, once again, focus may or may not be critical. However, we do know that the Canon is sharper from our controlled test, and so that is the advantage there. What we can see is that once again, you've got some kind of green outlining here that is less apparent here on the Meike lens, and so a positive there. Looking up in this zone here, you can just see it's more distracting looking on the Canon. In this zone here, everything looks a little bit softer, a little less busy, and you can see that at other points in the frame. It's just a little bit more of a hard line showing up here. And so as far as the bokeh quality, it's a little bit better on the Meike. This is nothing like award-winning here, but not bad for a budget lens. As a portrait lens, I found the Meike to be a decent lens here. As you can see, skin tones look pretty decent. Rendering might be just a hair warm, but in a flattering kind of way. On our plane of focus, contrast and resolution are incredibly high, but that isn't necessarily always a priority for people when shooting portraits, and the overall look is pretty decent there. Here's another one here, and we can see, this is still a significant advantage over people that are shooting portraits with, say, a smartphone or something similar. It's got the shallow depth of field look that is more, kind of professional looking, and skin tones are, decently rendered here. The resolution and the contrast aren't blowing my mind, but the global look of the image is pretty decent. Here's another portrait example here that looks, really to me, looks pretty good. A fairly decent fall off on our going to defocus region. As we saw, it has reasonable bokeh quality, and so that makes it a reasonable portrait lens for those that are on a budget. Colors look okay here as well. And so at the end of the day, it's a lens that certainly has some flaws. It's not a replacement for high-end optical instruments, but then again, it's a budget option at a budget price. And at that price, it's delivering a better than expected build quality and has nice bokeh quality. And in terms of sharpness and resolution, I think I would be happier if it were more centered. If it had been even across the frame, I would be more positive, but the fact that I've seen 2 copies and both were decentered tells me that they might need to do a little bit of work when it comes to their actual manufacturing process to tighten up those tolerances a little bit. But I wish Meike the best, and I hope that we see more from them in the future. I'm Dustin Abbott, and if you'll look in the description down below, you can find a link to my image gallery and see a lot more photos than what I've shown you here. You can also find some buying links there if you'd like to purchase one for yourself. This lens is just coming to market right now, so keep an eye out for it. And of course, you can follow me there on social media, become a patron or a subscriber. And if you haven't already, please click that subscribe button right here on YouTube. Thanks for watching. Have a great day.